So, not a traditional blind backtest, given the news that happened yesterday. But what we'll do is we'll go along from, where are we, 7:30? We'll mark out some SNDRs as they form around 8:30 or so. And we'll kind of identify our bias when we're expecting trend changes. We'll go until about the afternoon. We'll take a few trades, but the majority of the focus this morning is going to be on narrative, right? And you'll find that there's a million groups out there. There's a million subjective entry models. There's a million ways of trading the market, right? But the mixture of ICT, Photon, Albrooks, DTFX, those disciplines that we've kind of come from and sort of built our own one into, you'll find that when you're able to read price and have an idea whereabouts it's going and you have good confluence, that the entry actually becomes much less prevalent, right? As long as you're in at a relatively good spot and managing your risk properly. Okay, so let's see about whereabouts we are. We've got this little bit of a top coming in at 8,800 or so. Cool. Let's play it forward to about 8:30. We'll mark out some SNDR and we'll see what we're expecting as it reacts to it. Let's get this down there. Cool. And 8:30. Okay. So we're at about 8:30 now. What are we thinking here, lads? Given that we just snapped down, traded back up. What are we looking at here? Right? Do we complete an objective? Possibly. Right? You guys have already picked out. We've got our lower time frame SNDR here. Cool. Right? That broke trend. Right? So what we're looking at with SNDR is you're looking at areas that are responsible for something. So we've got a smaller one here that's responsible for continuation. If that holds, we go lower. If it fails, we go higher. Right? That doesn't mean necessarily that we're going to bounce off of here and go on a rocket ship up here. That's a possibility. But what you're looking at is entry here, right? Not on this inverse. You're looking at the area that broke it in the first place on the upside, right? So we're not looking at this. Okay? So clear change in order flow. We've got a sharp downtrend. All of this is not part of structure, right? So we've got this high here that's protected. This high here technically is protected as well on the 1 minute, but I'm not liking this in terms of a higher time frame move leading into the hour, right? So all this here is not part of structure. If you get a movement quickly that takes this out, then sure, right? We can take a fade back into our area of interest, providing we haven't traded back into it yet. We have a valid high in here now. So the expectation is that this goes down to our area of interest. If this holds, we go long at a minimum for this high. Failure at this high then really takes us lower because we have a higher time frame double top. We don't want that, right? What you want with these SNDR is that this tap will break structure, right? Trades up, right? We've got a high here that comes down, ideally liquidates this low, and then you have structure that forms in here that then takes you very high, right? Our objective is to not get married to bias and to trade what we see with price as it reacts to these areas of interest. Okay, so this is our target right now. We've got this valid high that's in. So we've got 3 areas on this chart that we're interested in. We're not interested in going long down here. We don't want this area to break. If it breaks, we'll go below this low. Everybody understand that? Cool. valid high. We've traded in. We've respected the open of this candle. You see this quite often as the market is retracing or reversing. Right? If you're expecting lower prices, you want to see that respected. So we're quite comfortable sitting in this right now. Bang. Anybody long yet? If not, where are you looking? Midpoint? Something to get taken? We have no imbalance in here. Don't like first taps without sweep. Okay. What's not part of structure in this? All of this, really. Right? You got a structural bull bar here. Your next structural bull bar is actually this one. Technically. Right? Regardless, it swept all of this liquidity into here pretty quickly. If you get a sweep of this candle, that will be a valid entry. But that's at the top of the zone, which is one of the three things that can happen in an area of interest. Let's move that over there, just to be clear. Who's long now? Those of you guys that have watched the core content series, yes, I do need to update some of that for sure. They were actually made for deplorables, which was the prior Discord that we were in before obvious reasons of leaving. But one of the ways of making sure you're in at a good spot is that you anticipate this movement down as a curve. So we're trading lower and then we're trading higher. Right? Hey, Disnos. Looks like I left the backtesting open for community. That's all right. We look at this curve as our lower time frame. Some of you guys follow the 5-second chart where it's doing this. We want to be in as that change in order flow occurs. Right? It's much better being in here on this side of the curve than here, even at the same price. We don't know how far down this is going to go. So what we do is this candle opened here. It traded lower. Right? You can post something, sure. If we go down to the 5-second, which I doubt we'd be able to do without messing this up. It's actually one of the reasons I like NinjaTrader, but I hate the charts for backtesting. But we can actually see tick by tick of something like this happening on the 5-second. So those of you that stay on the 1 minute like myself, what you're looking at is trades lower, right? Trades up, trades lower. And then as this comes through, your entry can be here, right? You might see something in here, but we don't really want to get long on the close of this candle. We've missed quite a bit of the move in our zone. The absolute lowest place or worst place to be that's valid, which is a weird way of phrasing it, you want to be in here or lower, period. I'd even argue if you're in above this candle, that's late. We want to be in with our narrative expectation because that gives us very good drawdown. And if we're wrong, if we're wrong, even at a decent entry, right, our target is probably this last structural bear bar or this high. In reality, you got a 10-point stop. Once we get manipulation and follow through, in other words, once it's defended, we move to break even. Or at the very least here. Right? Trades down, trades through. Immediately we're break even now. Regardless of being up. Oh, this. Come on. Right? I'm going to leave it there, but we'd be break even right now. We're up 13 points. The conservative people, if you're looking to generate accounts, you're taking your trade up to here, right? You could even argue this candle, but this one got swept immediately. Regardless of anything else, we should take that high because this candle is now weak. Oh, God. Okay. Wrong button. Sorry, lads. Obviously, this trade worked out. So, what happened here? If you're late, this is actually an important. Let's. How am I going to do this now? Let's go over the lateness. So we traded up here. We got a body closure. Cool. We traded back down as you would expect. Right? And by the way, you could have very easily had a conservative, or not a conservative, an actual target where we're expecting much higher. Because we're respecting this SMDR. It's not until we get failure up here that sends us lower that we're now concerned. And now, this body closure here, we'll go over your question here in 1 second, Sakis. Body closure here, I'm not interested in long. And I don't care if it trades back up to here and then dies or whatever it's going to do. I'm not interested in longs. This area has to hold for me. My expectation now is we take this low. Even without seeing this kind of pressure. If we're late, this low's job, its first job, is what? Put it in the chat. What's this low's job right now? It's lower time frame job. Let's clarify that. Trade above the bearish candle. Ideally, this low puts in a new high. But how's it going to deliver that price? Is it going to go up like a rocket ship and just have 3 bull bars? Or what's it going to do? Right? It's going to go to the last area that needs mitigation, isn't it? Where is that? It's this here. Why? You have a lower time frame area responsible for continuing structure. This SMDR here puts in this movement. What is this on the 5 second if not trading like this? So your 1 minute is facilitating, or your 5 seconds facilitating order flow here, changing order flow, changing order flow, changing order flow, and goes. Similarly to how we would expect the 1 minute time frame to do the same thing for the 15, and so on and so forth. So this low here mitigates this area. We expect retracement, unless what? Yes, we'll get to your question in 1 sec. Unless a higher time frame move, that's right. If this is a higher time frame low, and we're now sweeping on the hourly, and we tap back in and we start to move, there's a very good chance that this does go on a rocket ship. This is where your barbecues come in that you saw last weekend, or Friday. Right? People actually made money shorting this. Do not do that when you have a higher time frame objective. Okay? That's how you get run over and you contemplate ever trading again. If you're late on this, you wait for a retest. We do not chase in here. We want to form consistent habits. That consistent habit is getting in on a pullback. On a pullback. Right? At a point of failure. Failure tells us what? That our objective, relevant to the time frame, has been completed. And now we're going higher. For example, our 15-minute objective here has been completed. We now went higher. Failing here and breaking the SNDR tells us it's not been completed yet. 836 to 837. Right, so to go over this again in a little bit more detail then. What we've got, this low trades up, trades down, right? If you're looking at this area here for failure, I suppose you could get in there, yes. I don't really have a problem with that as it's coming back up, right? But what we're trying to look at is, why would we wait if we missed it? Right? It's actually a higher probability when we're looking at that it actually has achieved something now, right? Rather than getting in here on the way down or even on the way up. If you're getting in on the way up, you're probably in here, which we were talking about earlier as being no bueno, right? What you're looking at is if this comes back down and we get failure, I would prefer getting in at the same price after the retest. Because this movement here, we don't know if that's going to come down because we haven't made a new high yet. We don't really know what this is going to do. We got this respected, sure. I don't really want this coming down much further. Okay. Is it viable to shorten here off of this imbalance? Sorry. We swept above our last structural bear bar. So we swept here, indicating failure, traded higher, swept above our last structural bear bar, indicating lower. Right? If we're looking for continuation, this is what you're looking for in here. Right? Our expectation could be trading back up into here. Right? Those of you will see the midpoint of that. But what's price telling us right now as we trade back into the range? Price is telling us lower. G-code entry would be the sell of this candle. Right? This is more structural. Structural with narrative. This is one of our sweep model type trades. Right? But you have to be on the right side. Right? And he's asking about this maybe as an SNDR, which I suppose I suppose you could argue that it is. Right? It's not really anything prevalent that I'd like to see. Right? I kind of want to see a little bit of an up move here. This kind of just went down and then just got flushed. Whereas you see this is a little bit more of an SNDR. Even this traded up before coming back down. This is a very aggressive entry where you're expecting unwind. Right? So if you were taking this trade, all right, the close of this candle trades back up, you want to be in like as this is coming back down. And now you're targeting this low, understanding that we actually should have gone higher. We're failing here. We should go lower. And then at worst, you're break even. Just understand whereabouts you are in the range, and you're actually expecting range expansion, which means that this move should be violent. Okay? If we're looking at SNDR, we don't really have anything yet. In fact, we're looking to build one here. Why? Take this low. Right? Anybody still short? Where are we wrong if we're short? Valid low would mean we're trading back up here with the expectation of a swing because of what happened with this SNDR. Okay? As long as you guys have an idea. Right now, what are we trusting? The last manipulation. That's right. This low failed to put in a new high. Ergo, we're looking this way. With our narrative intact. Bang. Right? Anybody long expecting range? What do we got here? 9 o'clock? Good. Good. Not every trade below a low is viable. We don't just long here because we took something. There's a possibility of us trading back up into here. But is that high probability? You're probably waiting for some sort of failure. In which case it would trade back up into where? Right? What did we leave behind? Area of interest right there. So we've got two pieces of information that are key. We're going to mark out the SNDR that sent us lower. This fractal that actually decided to break out of this range here and this movement. Right? Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Get rid of these highs now. Right? This is all we need on our charts. 1 minute time frame with what price is actually doing. What are we thinking? This is the area responsible for going lower. Do we want to short at the bottom of a range? It's tempting, isn't it? We just sold off sharply 70 points in the last 15 minutes. Right? Where's the location? Do we want to short at the bottom of a range? Even if we expect this to go lower, not usually. Right? We could very likely pick up some points here. But this is not high probability. What we're observing is how this reacts to it. But shorting front side into this very well could be the last 15-minute manipulation to blast higher. Looks like we're good. What are we thinking? What are we trying to do? What are we failing to do? What did we just do? We have another swing here. Created a new zone, yeah. That low is 660. This close is 660.25. Finally got a body closure below it. No valid low just yet, but clearly some pressure. We're long, okay. Long to where? The blue line. This one? Okay. We still long? Okay. Net short. You were expecting this? If we make money shorting here, that is a very bad habit. Very bad habit. If you're short at all, understanding that it's an extremely highly aggressive trade, you're short from this SNDR. And you're looking for an instant reaction. If you're long on this failure here. Understanding that it's very low probability, but also low risk, which offsets. Neither of which are trades that I would take. Our structural bias is here. We just broke this. Right? So now we're looking to see, is this going to continue? We've got 20 minutes until New York Open. If we're looking to short at all, we're looking in here. Ideally with failure above this. I'm personally not looking for any longs in here to trade back up to there, because I don't know how far down this is going to go to do it. Does everybody understand why? Does everybody also understand how easily you can get blown around the wind on this? Let's see what we get. We get wrecked. Starting to see some pressure come in. Nice defense of that low. Bang. Right? Now you can look at possibly going up. But this area needs to be defended if there's shorts to continue. But do we understand why we're waiting for an actual failure, not getting involved when we see a bull bar? Even a beautiful gold one like that. Right? And your conservative target that you're literally hand on the trigger to get out is here. Because this is now your weak high on your lower time frame. With the understanding that this isn't part of structure on your 1 minute or anything higher. This is your protected high on your swing. So if we trade up, we should trade through this relatively quickly. You're looking for a strong body closure, ideally either inside or above this SMDR here. And you're looking to target this. If we take it, come back in, and we respect the new zone that we've created, we might go higher into here. And this is how you start forecasting price moves. And then all of a sudden people will say that you're trading in hindsight. Okay, let's see what we got. Nope. Better. Right? Failure above our non-structural high. You're looking for this next bar to offer a strong bullish response. Right? Bears tried selling off. We're sweeping, yes. Inside of where? This SNDR. Who could have predicted that? Right? Bang. This bar needed to be bearish. The fact that they could not is not good for the bearish cause at all. You want to tap in and get something like this. Failure to do that, that's candlestick theory. Right? We've now traded inside. We've swept this SNDR, true. Ideally, we trade back into here. If this gets respected, that goes higher. Right? Does everybody understand here why bears are in a lot of trouble, both with candlesticks and with structure? Never mind this. Right, we've obviously failed here, yes, but we're looking at the response as well as we're monitoring the position. Right? And by the way, could we have moved our stop on this trade? Probably. Right? It would have been rough if you put it right below the low of the manipulation. But your understanding is that we traded up. We didn't trade above this candle. Right? We traded above this one. So you could have moved it to break even. Maybe. And look to re-enter, possibly. This is one of the reasons I like taking 10 points on trades that aren't confirmation. Right? And then I look to re-enter when it fails. With the understanding that my risk is now small and I'm looking for a larger move now. Oftentimes you will get that retest and then this is your move, but what you're looking at here is that your last bear bar is actually this. Failure to trade above it means that we're probably going below that low because it's now weak. So just keep that in mind when you're in these sort of reversal plays. What do we got? 9:20. 10 minutes. What are the chances they take out every bear known to man here? Whoop. Tap back in. Swept. We thinking long or short for 9:30 open? Who gets wrecked first? Or are we sitting on our hands? All equally viable. Just know you and your personality. Hands but short, okay. We got a mixed bag here, cool. How about now? My goodness. My goodness, look at this. Y'all ready for this? Y'all ready for this? Whoop. Whoop. Bang. Ouch is right. Ouch is right. Now what happens? 3 minutes to go. And then we'll walk through it a little bit. How many of you guys would be shorting right now? Expecting cataclysm. That is what they want. That's correct. Right? Right before 9:30. And be honest with yourselves with how you would actually trade this Monday morning. Because they will try and get you involved every single step of the way. Right? Wait till after open. Okay? So what ended up happening here with our SNDR? Where's our last structural bull bar? This one. This one did not. It closed above it, yes. Did we close above that one? No, sir. So what ended up happening? Violated it. Put in a valid high in this swing. This swing up. Trade it back in to where? Trade it back into here. Down we went. See if we get it. Yes? Otherwise, I'm going to get wrecked almost immediately. Let's find out. Whoop. 928. God. The casual 15 points. Conservative target. Disaster. Probably sweeps below it. We'll see. if it's going to sweep at all. Anybody with me? Anybody with me? Yeah? That's pretty good. We want this to hold now, which means we need to trade above here. And if we do that, then we're good. But what are we expecting later on now with this possibility? Probably revisit it later. Or we sweep it now. Hopefully it doesn't take us out. Let's find out. Do we get wrecked? Yep. And look at that. This is probably one of the main reasons I don't trade before 9:30. What would that have been? 15? Waiting for a sweep? Right? The conservative trade would have been a sweep of this, trading back through. Right? And if I'm being real, this wasn't a trade I would actually take 2 minutes before open. But that's just for fun. What's our expectation now? Down then up, or just rocket ship? Cook both ends? Probably. Right? Everybody read what Art said in there. That's the advanced way to look at it. We're going to take out shorts, and then we come back for all the longs. That's the expectation right now. Why? We've got, well, we're actually quite late in our 15-minute probably. But if we unwind from here, that would be very, very good, right? Which would also coincide with this likely here, that midpoint of our larger swing. What we're looking at in terms of narrative, both on our 1 minute and our 15-minute. Our 15-minute needs to do what right now? Or should do what right now? Should we fail on the 1? If we fail on the 1 minute, right, either with a higher time frame failure here and then taking an SNDR, our 15-minute is then in retracement mode. So our idea is shorting in here if it gives us an opportunity. Alternatively, we very well could trade above our higher time frame protected high, trade back into the range to the SNDR created, which would then give us our higher time frame move. This is what happened on Friday. Right? So, market structure 101, are we trending or not? Yes. We're trending on our intermediate time frame. But what's our 1 minute doing down here? Are we in consolidation? Do we have valid highs and valid lows within this? Yes, we do, don't we? Therefore, we're in a range. What happens with a range at the bottom of a trend? Manipulation. ICT bros see this as AMD. We look at it as the SNDR at the bottom of a range. It's meant to be liquidated. Other market structure disciplines will see this as your final flag, where you get consolidation and then failure, typically climactic. Right? But what are we gleaning from this? We're gleaning that we're anticipating, given what's going on here, that the failure lower will send us higher to our objective. That's why we're not looking short in here at all. We don't want range-bound action for shorting. We want retracement for shorting. We're actually only looking long here as a result of that. Now this stab technically broke structure. We came down for it, swept out everybody long, didn't we? Including me with that silly entry. Right? Where's our first target? Our intermediate time frame SNDR that broke us out of this 15-minute swing. Right? We were finding it down here, yes. But realistically, it's this. So, should we get a reaction here, you could look at the 5-minute to find it. You'd likely see a fractal. Right? This isn't necessarily a higher time frame move. You would literally want something like this where you're looking at that. Similarly to the 5-minute time frame. I'm not looking at this as being sort of one directional, even though it's unloading. Very rare cases you look at the 5 for that, but you could. Right? So our idea here is if we get a reaction here, that would take us back down into our range, possibly this order block. Right? Do we form an SNDR here? Not really. We have this area here. Do we expect to retrace all the way down there? Not really. Is it possible? Yes. Let's see what we get. Do you guys anticipate a movement? Or are we just going to cook it? Weird. Now, nasty business. Why did it reject that heavily? That's what? 50-point bar? Traded into our area of interest, more specifically this movement here. I would have looked like a legend if I would have kept this on, wouldn't we? Right? Failure here took us all the way back down. We didn't have any SNDR, any reason to be stopped here other than this order block, which I highly doubt we got a reaction from. Now, I mean, that's obviously in hindsight now, because we can't really tell what order flow is like. We very well could have consolidated here before just unloading ourselves. But when you guys are looking for this retracement in, you need an SNDR or something here. Otherwise, you go lower. Now, this was very violent. It actually ended up trading back into that manipulation there. Let's see what we get. Waiting. Are we trading back in? Hands? Gone? Waiting? Down? How about now? Still don't like it? Are we entertained? Short? Mixed bag. Mixed bag. Lisa, I saw you typing. What you got? Down? Okay. Anybody looking long on a retracement down into here? What are our ifs? What are our ifs? What happens if this next candle opens here, trades lower, and then trades through it? Even if it's only got 30 seconds to go in the candle. What happens to this high? Wrecked, right? Why? Because we need to fail below here in order for this high to do its job. So if we get bullish price action in here, we immediately go above this. Equivalently, this high here needs to continue lower. So if we trade up again above this candle, fail in here, and then trade lower, our expectation is this low. Right? We're at 933 and we've got this high is 88. This low is 35. A nice little 50-point range for us to make some decisions with. Our narrative, let's not forget to zoom out, is that we're looking for something somewhere to trade us back up into here. Especially if we get failure in here continuing. Right? I'm not expecting this just to continue like this with lethargic price action coming in. Which is why I'm only looking longs right now. Earning my name. Ready? What did we get? Traded up, traded through, expectation, this low. That's how candles are formed. Open, trades up, we then look for it to trade through, and then closure here. You form your bear bar. Going long. Okay. Bizram got the weight of the world on his shoulders going here. All right. I appreciate the bravery. Legend. Small stop. Yep. If we get a sweep fail in here, then yes, possibly. Trade back into the midpoint. Exactly. We want price to tell us. We can all be looking long. We might have different reasons to get involved or what we see specifically, but I think we can all agree we're not going long here. What are we thinking? We're looking at what price is doing. Is it got urgency that it's going lower? Right? Our expectation of this failure is gone. So if what we expect to happen is failing to happen, then the opposite is happening. Everybody understand that merry-go-round of words? Yep. And this is fair. We don't need to make our day 5 minutes in with a 70 or 80 point range. We don't need the 80 point move, right? Where we take a loss, and then finally get back to break even with a large trade. But our expectation of this is that we should be able to make, at a minimum, this candle. Yes, the crux of our system is we look at failure at structural areas to identify strength or weakness on charts, given narrative itself. If I had to put it into a word or a sentence on a business card, it would be sweeps with narrative, is how I trade. Not every sweep, but sweep in the context of the market. So I think most people would agree we're not really looking short. Right? But here, the market is whispering to us, given all this push down, that's having a hell of a time going lower. What I want you guys to avoid is going long anywhere in here and looking to see, given narrative, getting some sort of reason on a sweep to get involved in here and not allowing it to run. We don't attach our identity to a losing trade. Taking a loss does not mean we are a loser. It means that you're a trader. Take your losses. Right? Let's see what we get. Do we get wrecked or do we go higher? Are shorts nervous? Yeah, I would be. We're up a casual 20 points. Likely break even from anywhere in here. This isn't my system, going long here with a stop here. I can understand people wanting to take a 1-to-1. That would be your 1-to-1. Right? Can you justify this high? Yes. You got a 1.5-to-1. Cool. If that's your risk appetite and you find some consistency with that, okay. There's 1,000,001 ways of trading, and suggesting that one way is better than any others is sophistry, right? What I'm trying to do is identify areas of reversal with proper context and narrative. So today isn't necessarily even focused on the proper entry, right? What I'm trying to identify is, if it fails here, what's our thought process on the way up, if it's going to go up at all, right? Where's our candle opening? This candle opened here, traded lower, then went higher. So our expectation is now up to an area of resistance or objective, which would then trade where, right? So we're looking, either we wreck this, which is our expectation. If we trade back in and fail, then we're really looking higher. And by doing that with our short-term thought process, you can move through the market like water. You can identify where you're in trouble or where you're still continuing to be right in your position. Bang. Are we holding? Where's your stop? Break even? If it takes this and fails all the way back down, are we really interested in taking it off here? At our entry at, 36, 37? This is tricky, isn't it? We can expect it to trade back down here. this high is 85, that low is 48. You guys really letting it run 40 points off you? Right? Now, this is why it's tricky. It hasn't hit our target yet. Right? So, how I typically manage these is I allow it to run about 10 to 15 points against me. And what I'm monitoring is I'm monitoring when strength comes into the market. For example, if it runs against me, which I'm expecting it to, why? We're trading near a key point of interest. If it happens to do it, there's a strong possibility that we just continue up higher. We've caught every short in the world off guard here because we're actually understanding that price should retest here or take this high if it's going to flip bullish. Now, if price is going to attempt to flip bullish, we need an SNDR created here. Typically, we would have an SNDR created here, which would then trade up, trade back in, and go. We don't have that. That's why I'm actually looking short here to go lower. Beside the point. We're currently in a long. What we're doing is, if this open here, we denote it by this, and it trades against us, I'm looking for strength to come into the market, and then my stop is on the defense of that. I don't want strength to come in, get thrusted down, and take this low. Otherwise, I'm looking at a retracement back down to here. And then if there's failure in here, I'll re-enter. But this way, I don't give back all of this profit and drawdown. I just re-enter on some sort of change in order flow in here. Right? And that kind of comes to the crux of what we're trying to teach, in the sense of what's the market trying to do and what's it failing to do. We can use that on higher time frames similarly to lower time frames. If the market tries to rally here and can't, I'm expecting lower. Similarly, if the market's trying to sell off on a 1 or 5 minute time frame and it can't, I'm expecting higher. And how price does one thing on one time frame, it does it on all time frames. Shall we? Bang. Are we out? 70 points? It could go up another 100. Right? Nothing wrong with being out. Or you trail your lows and you got a higher risk appetite. That's also fine. Start trailing aggressively. Fair. $10 contract and 20 accounts, you'd have some consistency issues. You made $400,000. Good luck getting a payout in the next 6 months. Right? We don't really have an SNDR in here. And again, this little fractal here, I'm not terribly concerned with. That would be the only area I'd be interested in. Right? We've got our midpoint here, yes. We've got our origin swing here of manipulation, which I wouldn't be surprised about. But this is violent. I'm in no rush to short this freight train. I don't know about you guys. Let's see what we get. Okay. We look like rock stars, don't we? What was that midpoint? 70. All hindsight and chats. 22.75. Ah, one tick. You guys forgive me? Failure here, if we respect this imbalance, takes us above that high. That would be the ideal situation for failure here for a short entry. If we don't get failure at here after trading into this, or it doesn't respect that imbalance, this is going to be a very difficult short unless you're getting in somewhat front side, right? If we sweep this candle, are you guys interested in shorting? What would you need to get involved right now? Do you want to change an order flow? Do you want a sweep model? Are you expecting something like this that we just marked out? What do you guys think? Right? Take the high and failure. Okay. Imbalance get mitigated and fail. Okay. Do you understand that you're thinking now of what you need to see rather than allowing emotion or the market to dictate when you hop or ape in? You might be thinking long up in here on failure. And you're actually interested in taking an imbalanced failure to trade back up. And that's your kick. That's the thing you see. Cool. Personally, I think that's a little bit low probability, but I can understand the narrative of this. What I'm concerned about is that we didn't form anything in here to take us up. So if we form consolidation here to put us above this high, then I'd be looking for the retest back in. Because now we've broken our 15-minute trend. Does everybody understand that long thesis? So we could be long here for that retracement, cool. But that's also given the narrative of what's going on down here. Confused? Are we good? Never been better? Pleasure, Art. Thanks for coming up. Okay. Whoop. Video will come in very soon about this. What are we thinking? Sideways, okay. High to be around, okay. V was asking about this fractal. Fair? Imbalance being respected, okay. What's our lower time frame objectives right now? Have they been met? What's our higher time frame objective? Has it been met? Okay. So what do we do? To be clear, this was meant to trade up into here. That's the intermediate time frame objective. We then failed. This low objective was to trade back into here. We've now respected it. Very possible we continue lower. We haven't touched this low yet. Should we sweep here into the fractal that V is waiting for and fail, we then come up for this high. If we don't sweep here, we're not looking long. Why? Our objective on our intermediate time frame has been met. Let's see what we get. Are we long? Okay. This is not what we wanted to see from this fractal, is it? Okay, some of you guys will see this. Okay. What a fun day. This is a hold on to your ass day, isn't it? Love it. Whoop. Oh dear. Long idea over. Could it trade up into here and then fail or continue on? Yes. Right? We want probabilities. We just did this at the midpoint of a 15-minute zone. Yes, it does. It attempted to rally here and failed with a body closure below this candle. This SNDR was tapped into here and we got a movement out of it. Right? I'm looking at this as an intermediate time frame failure, which should take us back up to our intermediate time frame objective. What I'm looking at is how far into this movement we are. So should we want to go higher, we're trading here. This area traded back into our SNTR, mitigated it. Given the velocity of this push, I'm expecting this high to be taken, and we're looking at this zone itself that was left unmitigated. So in theory, we've got our intermediate time frame zone here, which we've just delivered a 1-to-1. We've got our SNDR here within it, right? My guess, given how it's performing in here, based on this, is we actually take these lows to wherever it's going to go, right? Might do a measured move on that in a bit. And then we actually do end up taking this and go much higher. Because we're not respecting this. Right now, we're looking at this low to get taken, 31.50. Because of how we're responding within here. That would have been a difficult trade. I don't know. Given this, I wouldn't have been looking short here. I would have been looking at something within this unmitigated zone to see if we're going to actually take this higher or not. The zone below should support price, okay. Anybody long? Fractal? 1 minute zone that just got broken? Quick scalp to prior candle high. Thinking here, okay. When's a flip fake to review? I know I go over this once a week. But again, we're about immersion here, right? Higher time frame objective completed. That's right. Unmitigated higher time frame objective. Disrespecting imbalances on the way down. Bang. Anybody long? Full still front side? Yep. Definitely front side. Sweeps almost always are. Too strong bearish, okay. Making you guys think on a Sunday morning. Dinner time here. See if we get wrecked. Given the velocity, we could expect something lower, but it might very well trade into this fractal. We'll see. Bang. Cooked. Now where are we looking? Response to this response, okay. Flip, possibly. Zooming out, sure. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, what have we got on here? We've got this area, which was responsible for breaking the uptrend. Very powerful zone. We've got this area, which was responsible for that movement there, that broke below this low. These are the only two areas I would consider. Yes, people see this, right? I'm not very interested, even on this, of taking a 50-point trade or a 50-point stop, whether it works or not. Right now, I'm looking at trading to here. Failure here, trades down. I'd be monitoring what goes on here because we've got this candle at 946. This is all one 15-minute candle. All this. If we're going to form a wick and fail below here, this is how we would do it. This would become a wick. We would then trade higher. If we blast through this area, we're likely going to trade back down and then back up. Possibly. Strong reaction from here would really send us lower. Strong reaction from here would, at the very minimum, take us down to this. If we don't get a reaction from here at all, we go well below that low. Where does our higher time frame move come from? It comes from failure at the area that broke the candle. This would be continuation, where you're getting your lower time frame lethargic movement. If we fail up here, we're looking for a huge move. Similarly to what you guys expect with first tap, second taps, in a sense. Whoop. Short, long. How's that for a movement? Or are we sitting on hands nervous? Judging this reaction, that's a very viable short for continuation. And your stop is not much higher. Right? Say we're taking this on the way down. Let's suggest we're getting short there. You're probably doing this, right? And then at a minimum, you're looking for maybe the low of that candle. I'm not terribly thrilled with how that closed. I would actually be considering long right now. Right? Back down into here, let's say. I don't know, 15 points. Right? You could go 10 to 10 and just do 1 to 1. You're out with tons. Given the volatility, I'd be inclined to hold a little bit longer. Right? New low, sitting on hands, just expecting, okay? This would be what you would be expecting, yes. You don't want to see buying pressure come in here. The response of this is going to be very telling. If we go lower than higher, we're forming a bull bar. No bueno. If we go higher, fail, and then trade lower, we're expecting this low to go. So it's not the candle, it's the response. Yes? Let's find out. Whoop. If you were short, you're out break even. Why? What do we talk about with the 15-minute candle in here? This is now a wick. This is now a wick. So if we're going to fail at the area where selling came in to break this movement. Right? The market tried rallying here to continue its trend. And it failed miserably. Miserably. Whoop. Did that do it? I think it did. No, equal lows. No sweep. What a schmuck. Does everybody understand why we're not taking a random 50% short in here because it's a magical line? Cool. A little bit of a speed bump coming in here. Cool. This candle closure at 9:52. Where would you enter? If you're not in here with this expectation of a 15-minute wick or a poor bearish response, you're not getting involved in here. We are nowhere out of the woods yet in terms of a bullish momentum. Right? We don't want to go long here trying for the extra 10 points or something. We want consistent actions to give consistent profits rather than making good trading decisions for one day or 4 days of the week, and then our fifth we're chasing or getting emotional and disaster. Right? We're looking for failure in key points of interest to then dictate what we want to do. Nice little sweep. We looking for higher? Tapped your imbalance. We haven't traded into, actually we did, I think, trade a 91.50 low. 91.50, we barely tapped this. To the tick. What are we thinking, lads? Given the range of the day, if you short here, your stop cannot be here. Yes, you got your sweep, but we haven't got our manipulation into our fractal yet. So if it goes here, rough. So we got, right? We're definitely interested in shorting. We got a bit of a reaction here. There's obviously some selling coming in. And those of you that waited for a sweep, one tick again, one tick again. Must do better. Would we be in? Yes. Yes, we would. Right? Where's your first target? First off, are we expecting a V coming out of here? First target's here, okay. Could you say that the previous candle is inducement? Yes. Absolutely you can. And good observation. Where would I be in? I would be in expecting, if there was failure going to happen out of here, I would want to see this sort of movement and then be in either as this move is coming out of the zone, so like here, with a tight stop. Right? I do not want to be shorting as this is going up into it. I don't know if this is going to go up and sweep it. Hopefully failing and doesn't rip my face off up here. I want to be in on weakness when I'm shorting, and I want to be in on strength when I'm buying. And then once I see some bearish reaction, I'm immediately either out on the manipulation or break even, depending on how strong the bearish momentum comes in. Typically what I do with my trades is, if I'm short, I'm looking for the market attempting to rally and failing. And on that failure, I go to break even. Because I'm expecting the failure to continue with the lower time frame trend, and we shouldn't violate the high on the lower time frame that's now made. After I see bearish strength come in here, I'm now expecting this to be manipulation, right? Which might have occurred, say, in here, and now I'm looking at this high. right? Your conservative target is this. There is a strong possibility that we take all of this back down to these lows because we're just stair-stepping in here. This is all not part of structure. So we're expecting a violent movement. You're expecting a violent movement. Okay? There is a possibility, if we fail in here, that we then trade back up, given that this would be a higher time frame area of interest to go lower. Right? But either way, we don't want any body closures above this period. Let's see what we got. Okay? Not what we want to see. Very strong possibility we trade back up into this. Ideally, we don't take this high, but that's possible right now. Right? So the sweep of this low, we have now traded. Let's see what we get. Did we actually trade lower than higher? If we traded lower and went through, then I would be out on this high and I would look to re-enter on failure in here. Does everybody understand that? We don't want this candle being swept because now it makes that high weak. So let's see what we get here. Trades up, trades down, closes here. Indecisive for candlesticks. Right? We traded up, traded through, which is what we want to see, but we failed to close here. Reverse smiley, yeah. We've got our short-term and intermediate term highs in here. Cool. Given this, we probably trade higher, and then we're looking for failure. Nope. Okay. Failing below here still. Interesting. Very cautious. Are we still holding? What are you guys thinking is going on now? Sweep a bullish structural candle, yep. This should take us higher. Possibly even over this. What we want, or don't want, rather, because we're short, if we were looking long, this would be somewhere we'd be looking to take a trade up. Right? But I'm not looking for longs even after this because we've just got a reaction from this area that we're expecting SNDR to hold. So if this candle opens here, trades lower, trades higher, I'm out as it trades higher above this. And we'll reevaluate our position, but we will take our profits here and get paid. And if that means we miss something and we have to re-enter, then fine. But I'm not liking this failure here. Okay. Challenging price action. Challenging price action. Right? Did exactly what we want, traded up, traded down, but cannot break this low. That tells me we need to go up higher. I think we're on the right side. Yeah, I think we're on the right side, but I do think we trade above here and possibly above this bullish candle as well. Right? If we were on the wrong side, I would expect trading down, sweeping, and then trading through. We're getting the reverse, which tells me we're actually on the right side here because we're actually getting bearish strength as we're trading down. I'm just not liking the narrative of sweeping here. Does everybody kind of understand that nuance and why that's important? This is really good practice for me as well, actually. This is very good. Yes. Yes. Where is the next manipulate? Where is the last manipulation? Last manipulation is right here. This is our structural candle. That's right. So manipulation here, trades below here. Cool. As we would expect, failing to trade above this high should trade below that low. We get that. We're failing here. That should trade back up. Now, SNDR that broke trend, right? We've got our one that broke the range or made a new low. Failing here takes us up. This one is equally important, arguably stronger because it broke a trend. Right? They exchanged their longs for shorts here. Right now, we're respecting it. So I'm actually out on this candle. I'm not going to claim that I'd be out here and get the extra 5 points, right? Whatever. But I'm not liking this. Isn't the market fun? Are we entertained? Are we long or short? Matter of fact, anybody long at all? you better not. You just got given a 30-point gift long. Possibly news candle? Yeah, it could be. Very much. February 2020? No idea. This is cataclysmic, in my opinion. We should immediately trade below this and very likely below here. Let's see what we got. I'm going to save you guys the trouble and not say anything. Anybody along? Nice little trade back into here. Eh? Right? You might get a retracement back up into here. We're looking at, we close below here. Body closures. We've swept technically below this candle here. So I'd be expecting to take that one. Right? I don't really think we'll trade. We might trade above this one just given the volatility, but I'd be looking here. There it goes. Whoop. Oh, a little bit higher. How about that? Oh dear. Oh dear. We long? We short? What's our biggest piece of information? Our job as traders. All right, what's our narrative right now? Right? So we've got an interesting conundrum, don't we? Very interesting conundrum. So let's get rid of, I guess we got rid of our other trades this morning. That's all right. You have an SNDR here that broke trend. But what do we have down here? Do we not have the same? You could even argue in here, I suppose, but I'm looking at the area here that was defended. I'm looking at the area here that was defended. Right? So, failed, trading back up. So what do? For one, we're sitting on our hands in here, aren't we? Because we're in a range. And it would be pretty nasty to suggest shorting here was going to break one side, or going long here was going to break the other side, isn't it? So what do? We wait, don't we? One thing is for certain, given how price moves, given that we're in a range, especially in the midpoint of the range, right? What you're looking at is the market should create an SNDR that's going to break one side or the other. Right? Consolidation will lead to expansion, and our job is to follow the manipulation of that consolidation. Sometimes it's very obvious, sometimes it's not. Right? So if we're finding manipulation, then we can look to trade the expansion that way. Currently, we've traded higher. We're now trading lower. We tapped into this area. We haven't really swept our liquidity. We've got this that's not part of structure. Right? We're clearing out stuff that's not part of structure higher. That leads me right now to look lower after we've got a valid high come in now. I'm not interested in shorting in here, but if I'm observing where price should go, right now I'm leaning to the downside, even though we just tapped into our SNDR lower, which would very well keep us range bound, at least in the interim, until we expand one way or the other. So for us to go lower, right, for us to go higher, I need to clear these out, these lows, sweep this, fail, and trade back in, and then have some sort of bullish price action in the midpoint of the range that's now being created. Similarly, with the bearish side, we need to trade below here, body closure, trade back in, defense, go. Okay? Let's see what we get here. Not good for bears, or bulls, sorry. Right? Getting some defense in the midpoint of this range, strong selling pressure. What are we thinking? What are we manipulating right now? What are we trying to do and failing? Failing to go up. So we can conclude right now that our pressure is actually on the downside. Right? Consider in here, right? We were failing to go lower, we traded higher. We were failing to go higher, we traded lower. We were failing to go lower, we trade higher. Follow the pressure. That's how you can kind of tell if you're on the right side but early. Might take the SNDR. If it trades below here, you want a strong reaction to consider higher. We don't want it really sweeping below here because then we expect this low to get taken. The defense has to occur where it's putting its pressure now. Otherwise, everybody long in here, you're looking for a sweep into this and fail and a closure in here. Failing to get that means much lower prices. Similarly to how this occurred up here. right? We swept into it, we failed, and now we're looking for the defense of that. We don't want it trading up into here. Oop. Tricky. Oop. That's interesting. That's a nice little sweep of that range, taking out some liquidity into our midpoint of our SNDR. Right? So when you're long, you're looking to trade back up to the midpoint of the range. That's your conservative target. Those of you that have an appetite for risk, understanding kind of what's going on here, we've got a high, a high, a high, a high. If we get going, we take all of those. Let's see if we get wrecked or if it comes back down. If you were long from in here, you've already made almost 20 points. Up to you. I'm personally sitting on my hands. I want to see some sort of expansionary price action, otherwise we're going lower. What are we thinking? Well defended in the midpoint, but pressure starting to accelerate to the downside. As you learn and as you grow, especially with market structure and narrative and everything else, you will see both sides. You will see both sides. You can understand why people are going long here. You can understand why people are looking for more downside, can't you? And that's how you know that you're right on the cusp of a breakthrough. Because now you're evaluating both sides going, if I was long, I'd want to see this. If I was short, I want to see this. And then the next step from that is what? If I'm long, I don't want to see this, and I'm gone, and I'm out of trouble. For example, this is a viable long inside of this fractal. We've now taken liquidity. Cool. I don't want to see this if I'm long. This to me is the market's attempting to rally and it can't. So your entry, even in a good spot with some good narrative, is fair, right? And given this volatility, yeah, we've made 10, 15, 20 points, whatever it is. It could be 10 points on Monday. It could be 7 points on Monday. It could be 3 points on Monday. Right? But if you're long and you see pressure, you might be on the right side, but pressure means that the market wants to go lower more often than not. So the only defense of this would be if we sweep this and fail and have a strong push. What's the market whispering to us right now? It's telling a story. Tells us right now, it's giving us hints, this little nuance here that it wants to go lower. How do we quantify that? We look at SNDR. It's not necessarily the pressure, it's where the pressure is. And that little blip into that SNDR responsible for continuation of this move. Right? These little areas. That one's a little bit trickier, obviously. Right? You're looking at these little fractals responsible for continuation. Now, if we get a close below here, then you've got another one. Right? These are your lower time frame movements. I'm not concerned about what goes on in here. I'm concerned about if we're respecting these on the way down. Similarly to what we're doing with these ones on our intermediate time frame. And do you understand why I'm not looking long should this area break? What are we thinking? Sweep? Possibly. Could go one side or the other. We don't want this trading up into here and then coming down if we're even considering long. We're not considering short here at the lows. We've missed it now. And you get the gift of practicing patience. Oop. Swept lower, traded higher, swept higher, structural candle, closed here. Dangerous. You guys want to do some predictions for fun? It'd probably be from here, actually. Yeah. No, that's probably the candle closure there. You know what? I actually like this better. Let's do that one. I think that's more fair. Let's see. Let's see. God, is that even on the midpoint there? I don't think it is. Let's do that. Let's do something a little bit more conservative. If we break below here. Bang. Okay, so targets, equal movement. Does everybody understand the lower time frame objectives that are coming up? Right? This one traded back up into here. Cool. This is actually not what you really want to see mitigating itself down for bearish price action. That doesn't mean we go long. Right? But it means that should we flip bullish, we've mitigated ourselves. And that this all gets wrecked. That's right. We'll go for another 10 minutes or so. I'm liking this. It means there might be something violent. That might be fun. Let's see if we can catch a banger. Oop. This looks familiar to Thursday, doesn't it? Right? Violent move, higher time frame. No swings being created on our lower time frame. That means we're not eager to take these shorts for confirmation moves. You want you want one of three things. You want an SNDR created underneath somewhere that you can eyeball the chart and deem responsible for continuing a downtrend. What I mean by that is you want some consolidation, break below, trade up, SNDR, gone. This is your A++++++++. Right? Or you want something like this, which then goes, and you get a higher time frame failure, wherever that ends up being. Okay? But we're not looking for something like this to give us our V bottom 400-point move on 2 points of drawdown. Wouldn't that be a treat? We have to be pragmatic about this. So sweeping below this candle takes you up above that candle. This imbalance, if respected, which it looks like it is, should deliver a new low. Bang. Okay? Where's our measured move? Just for fun. 22? A little ways yet. What do we got? Oh, don't you do me like that. What do you think? Just for giggles. Let's actually make it the range itself. 13. Okay. Well, 20, 22. I should have kept it, eh? Damn it. Look at that. I should have kept it. Oh, well. Whatever. So, anybody short? Am I losing you guys? Can we understand that there's a very strong possibility that this trade pulls back? Right? That means that there's probably a chance of making 10 or 20 points in this. But that doesn't mean that it's part of our strategy or our system, or we should be taking every single movement we make or see in the market. Let's see what we get. Right? Where's our area of interest right now? Where's our area of interest? How about this? Is there a possibility of this being our intermediate time frame one? We've got no zones here, no swings. All we've got is a higher time frame consolidation. By that I mean about 5 minutes of consolidation. It's not really a higher time frame, but for this purposes, we'll consider that higher time frame. Right? You're looking at this larger area here. We're looking for that to get broken. We'll use a larger area, and we'll kind of monitor what the upside looks like. Our two possibilities are what? Recall what we just said. Right? And by the way, those of you guys that aren't part of premium or anything like that, how we identify swings here is the market attempting to rally or fail. Sorry, not fail. To sell off or rally. And failing or not. Right? So it's a little bit more discretionary than other disciplines. And what I mean by that is that this is not a swing on a 1 minute time frame. But I think we can all look at this and go, did the market attempt to rally here? Yes. Therefore, I consider it an important piece of action. We all on board? I understand that concept. Good. So, we've got an area here that was responsible for quite a large sell-off. And by looking at this sell-off, there was no attempts at all in here. There was no bullish bars. There wasn't anything. Right? The only thing you would even look at would be this, which got absolutely destroyed. Hopefully nobody was shorting in here. Correct. Valid pullbacks create valid swings. That's right. For other disciplines. Now, we've got this area here, which we deem very important. We're looking at the possibility of trading away from it. right? And then if we form a bull bar here, we trade away from this. We're now looking for either a sweep below here to continue. That's one possibility. Our second possibility, which is less probable now, given this movement here, is that we get a higher time frame double bottom. For that to be more valid, you're looking for a little bit of consolidation in here, where you're seeing lethargic price action similar to this, right? Where you're getting selling pressure, which then creates failure, and now you're looking for higher prices. Unlikely to get that here. And through your study, you'll look at that as well. Now, what's our third? We want consolidation here, which forms an area of interest to break above this, which we're deeming as SNDR. Breaking it, trading back into it, and going. This would be an A+ entry as well. Let's see what we get. And I'm going to leave this up to you guys, because this will be the last trade of the day. And we'll kind of zoom ahead and see and study price and how it delivers that way. So what we're going to do is you guys in chat call out when you are long. And I'm going to go bar by bar somewhat slowly. And we'll see who gets in where and what you're looking for. Let's do it. Assuming nobody's long off this. Although I can understand if you have a 45-point risk appetite. Cool. Right, so that's 1038 candle. This is your 1039 candle. Okay. Some of you guys got in here. Cool. Some of you guys got in on this candle as well. Cool. Pleasure, B. Thank you for spending some of your Sunday with us. Some of you waited for the break of this area, retested back down. Right? Awesome. It's important to note that there's a few nuances in here that might be helpful. Number one, everybody understand why we're long in here. If somebody does not understand why we're looking long at that area specifically, I could explain a little bit further. This is the crux of our system. Right? So what we're looking at here is this area here. Let's just mark up for ease of viewing. This area here was responsible, this high, put in this strong price action down, which accelerated this trend here. Right? So this to me is consolidation, which has led to a sharp movement. If we're going to break above it, we have a few different ways of getting involved. One of those that we're looking at is the formation of an SNDR underneath it. And this needs to break higher. We got a body closure. We violated this area consolidation here. We're then looking for a trade back down to that area. Right? So we traded back down to this area. We're now looking for failure here to now look higher. This area here is the conservative entry. Right? There's a couple different ways to get involved here. This area here is the aggressive entry. You'll see that there is an imbalance respected. But what you're leaning on heavily here is that this bear bar was nowhere near strong enough for the response that was warranted. And you see almost immediately on the close of it, we went on a rocket ship. We then traded back into it. Now, when we've created an SNDR underneath this, it's important to note that the sweep of this candle, while viable in this situation, gives some unnecessary drawdown. Why? Because we're actually looking at trading back into here. So we're actually looking at the sweep of this here, this bull bar, or we're looking at the midpoint of the fractal, or you're looking at the sweep of the SNDR itself, which is also viable, depending on your risk appetite. Either way, if you're getting in up here, that to me would be expecting a little bit too much drawdown. And we see that it dug into it quite a bit further. We then got some failure. We now look like we're ready to expand. Just an important little nuance there. So let's give ourselves a conservative entry. Let's say we're in just at the midpoint. And we'll give ourselves a swing trade. Let's go 20 points. Right? Which I very rarely, if ever, actually take that much drawdown. I think we got, 7 points or something here. Right? And let's suggest that given that we've just broken this SNDR, we're looking to trade to the midpoint of the zone we just left. Crazy? With the possibility of actually trading even above this. Right? We're actually looking, well, you know what? Let's be real here. We've got this here. Right? This area here was responsible. We're probably going to liquidate it. I'm looking at, if I was in on this sweep, which is something I would actually have taken. We take this on a daily basis. I could say with immense comfortability that I'd be in on this candle here. I'm looking at the possibility of us sweeping this SNDR, and then as soon as we defend this bearish movement here, now I'm actually break even. I don't want it trading back into here because the market's attempted to sell off and it couldn't. It got embarrassed. So we'll see if this plays out. The reason I'm targeting this high rather than this is because I'm actually expecting this area of liquidity, which never got swept out, to be taken. But realistically with this is how trends end. I see what you did there. Bang. Bang. And by the way, were we expecting a barbecue of all this? Mitigating itself on the way down? Yes, please. Right? Balance respected. Cool. Oop. Market attempting to sell off and failing. This is what you want to see for continuation. Right? So you guys can start putting your stops either here, 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 whatever. Depending on your risk appetite. Another sweep coming in. Wild. What a time to be alive. Right? We're trading into this SNDR here, which is why we actually got a bit of a reaction out of it. If we're looking to pull back, where are we looking to pull back to? This fractal there. This is where those of you that enjoy your swing trading, what you're looking at for continuations isn't necessarily rocket ships, although we love being part of those. You're looking for areas where the market attempted to sell off and failed, retesting those areas. If strength comes in, that's your adding opportunity or your second entry. But we don't want to be caught buying breakouts. You want to see what price is telling you. Ooh. Okay, that's beautiful. Swept. This will be an area I'd be looking at long now, right? And your stop's below the fractal itself. And now your target's probably there. Trade within a trade. Bang. Thank you. Bang. Casual 104 points. I think we can call it there. What do you guys think? Cool. Yeah. So, as a recap, coming into this week, we're expecting high volatility. We might do a free live stream on Thursday for the community. There's been a lot of really crazy stuff going on. Apex denying or delaying payouts, right? We've got just a whole bunch of stuff, and our desire to kind of help and ease people sort of into this difficulty that's going on, right? Might help a little bit. So it's very important to us. So stay tuned for Thursday for that possibility. We are expecting high volatility. I wouldn't be surprised if the open today in what? 5 hours? Would be extremely volatile. Make sure you guys are trading safe. If you need to risk down or whatever, then fine. Those of you guys that enjoy momentum trading, you guys are going to have a lot of fun this week, but make sure you're picking your spots accordingly. This will not be a week to allow your losses or losers to run, right? Take your losses. Make sure that you're trading the zones appropriately. Give yourselves a little bit of wiggle room. Give yourselves some grace. And make sure you come to the desk in a good state and with gratitude, because gratitude's the only way to... Gratitude and faith are the only things that take out fear. It's the only antidote to that. That's not religious talk. That's faith, as in like the ability to trust yourselves without proof, in a sense. So trade safe. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I've got a lot of messages to respond to in a couple of meetings. Thank you for spending your Sunday morning, afternoon, evening with us. And we'll hope to see you guys in the room.